Hello everyone, welcome back to Maritime SoftwareHub, the People Podcast. Today I'm joined by Gayle Mardell, the co-founder and director of Seacraft IT. Today we're going to be talking about rethinking how maritime operations discover and adopt technology. So Gayle, thank you so much for joining the show. I'd love it if you could introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Callum. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about Seacraft IT today. So, yeah, as Callum mentioned, I am one of the co-founders of Seacraft IT, which we'll kind of get onto in a minute, but essentially a digital platform for maritime professionals. My background actually is not from maritime. I spent around 20 years in aviation, in various commercial partnership roles, equally travel technology positions, relating to partnerships, integrations, and most recently, which I kind of think is maybe the most relevant for the discussion today, is actually hospitality software. So back-end hospitality software, whereby I had to interact a lot with cruise lines to understand, their whole digitalisation piece. So very varied backgrounds, but also very relevant in the long term.
Yeah, no, really exciting to have you on the show. And I know we've obviously connected recently regarding the launch of Seacraft IT and the marketing projects you guys have underway. So it sounds like a very exciting time for the business.
For sure, yeah. We actually, officially hard launched in Feb, and it's basically been all go since then. So it's been really exciting.
Good. Well, super pleased to hopefully showcase the business, and any way we can help, we'll be glad to do so. So I guess in terms of Seacraft IT, the business itself, would you mind sharing a quick overview of what the company does, essentially, and what you're building?
Yeah, sure. Of course. So Seacraft IT is a digital platform, so essentially like a marketplace which connects maritime operators with vetted technology vendors, IT vendors. It's a central platform, very transparent platform where operators can basically discover and compare technology. The idea is to actually help vendors gain the right level of visibility, while helping operators at the same time kind of save time, make more confident decisions, that ultimately technology that fits their needs. I guess one thing that makes us stand out from maybe other sort of comparison websites, if you want to say like that, is actually the actual personas themselves. So we really focus on specific IT buyers, and I think that that's kind of really important to highlight. In terms of the way that we present the content, we, as an example, we conduct webinars once a week, whereby the kind of on a carousel where the IT vendors can actually have a detailed product demonstration with essentially what is a hand-picked selection or a very vetted selection of IT of operators. So I think that that's kind of really important. They get the opportunity to present their product twice in one day. They get a product demonstration. And you'll see also from our case studies, from our e-journals, again, it's kind of a very, very detailed description of the product. So, when you're on the platform, you really get an understanding of what that vendor does.
Makes sense. Okay, so essentially your client base is I guess two part. You have the actual vendor and the partner that's providing the solution, and then also the user, whether that's a maritime ship owner or something within the maritime ecosystem.
Yeah, so broadly across, say, cargo, cruise, and offshore. So that kind of covers a lot of ground. The maritime industry is absolutely huge. So we just kind of segment it like that, but it's a lot broader.
How about the yachting and kind of the leisure markets? Do you touch upon that part as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess anyone that needs that, anything to do with maintenance, incident management, anything to do with digitalisation, and that's also largely apparent in the yachting industry. At the end of the day, when you're at sea, as an example, safety is paramount, staying connected is paramount, and so it doesn't really matter on the type of vessel. If we put it like that, I think it's equally as relevant.
Excellent. Okay, awesome. And then I guess you might have touched upon it a little bit there, but in terms of the main problem you're looking to solve, is it? I imagine it a case of like there being now, obviously, with the emergence of technology over the last 5 or 6 years in the maritime space specifically, and the cruise. It is the issue that there's just so much choice. You want to try and qualify the vendors and things. So what is the kind of the issue that you think you're really solving with the platform?
Yeah, I guess maritime operators face information overload. And it's a very fragmented industry, fragmented supplier networks, and very, very slow decision cycles. And so I think that's really important when it comes to technology. At the same time, a lot of vendors struggle with efficiency in reaching out to the right buyers. Again, there's so many out there, there's so many channels to do that. So that's also very challenging. So I guess there's ultimately friction on both sides. And so the idea of this consolidation platform actually helps to alleviate that. I mean, manual processes need digitalisation. I guess we're in a world now where everything works regardless of where you are. For example, having Starlink technology also really allows for that digitalisation. Even when you're on the move, you can kind of still keep those processes going. So you don't have to kind of think, okay, I've only got maybe once every 5 years I can focus on, this whole technology piece. I can actually just keep modernising, and it's obviously very important to do so.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. And I guess why now? Why do we feel like that now is the right time to launch the business? And obviously, I appreciate you've been building up to it the last few months and things. But what's the opportunity that you feel like you've spotted at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess digitalisation has escalated massively in the last couple of years, and using maybe the example I just had, whereby technology for maritime when you're at sea was a lot harder to adopt because the maybe the internet or the Wi-Fi or the connectivity, should I say, wasn't available. So you kind of have these very sort of manual offline processes, which now doesn't exist. And I think also safety has become a lot more paramount, and also on the other side, guest experience as well. So people expect a lot more. If we're talking about the cruise side of the business, people expect a lot more, and they expect efficiency, and they expect to be able to even connect whilst they're at sea. So I think there's all these factors, and I think it's just coming at the right time. And maybe we identified an opportunity, which I'll kind of come on to in a second, based on everything else we've seen in mirroring industries, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I know, obviously, depending when people will listen to this episode, we've got Sea Trade coming up shortly in Miami, and I was there last year, and I was amazed by first of all the digital presence there of companies and the actual digitalization section, and it was so much of that was based around the guest experience, predominantly on cruise. Obviously, it's a cruise event, but lots of different like entertainment vendors, safety. Just making the process as slick as possible. So I think you're definitely tapping into a very exciting growing market. Yeah,
and actually I'm really excited. Seacraft IT will be at Sea Trade Cruise Global in Miami in a couple of weeks. So excited to see all of the IT vendors, and likewise all of the operators. When I was working in hospitality tech, because I was speaking to the cruise lines so frequently, it did sort of appear that because the connectivity is in place now, they're finally at this stage where they're ready to digitalise. So I think that's where we started to think, okay, this wasn't possible a few years ago. They're looking for options, but they appreciate that it's such a long journey, and they've been holding off, and now they need to stay ahead of the trend. So I think that's where we thought, okay, maybe this is the right time.
Yeah, makes sense. And it probably touches a little bit on what you just said, but in terms of the industry, maybe it's the more general maritime sort of sector, where do you think how do you feel like it kind of sits within its digital journey? Do you think it's very much still in its infancy, or are we now kind of starting to really get some established systems in place?
Yeah, I think to be honest, I think it's a very good question. I think it's kind of moved past that awareness stage of digitalisation, and it's more about that, I guess, selective adoption. But integration and connectivity are still big challenges. I think they're still early stages, and there's always been, I guess, in maritime, in maybe the cargo sector or the cruise sector, there's been kind of a couple of players that have maybe dominated the space. But then I'm still hearing that, yeah, we have the technology, but equally we still need to do manual processes here, X, Y, and Z. So I think that, yeah, people are kind of thinking, okay, how do we use the integrations that are at that hand? You've got very fragmented data systems, different levels of digital readiness as well, which I think that's kind of important across maybe operators or across fleets. And like I said, a lot of manual work is still happening between tools. So kind of people are in this like middle ground where they want to move forward, but yeah, and everything's ready. And it's like, how do we find it? And that's why we're here to kind of help, find the existing stack and kind of take away that friction ahead of the implementation stage. That pre-discovery stage is because sometimes it's such a process to start exploring. It's such an investment to kind of, actually put that technology in place. So it's good to get a top level understanding of what's out there before you really invest.
Yeah, and I think, certainly if they're the larger commercial organizations, they may have like a special digitalization or digital transformation team set up, which is fantastic. But let's say for the more kind of average, either a vessel owner or smaller cruise line, for example, they may not have specific people. So as part of the platform, would you have people that maybe there are almost like systems integrators that would help like vet and then also implement digital products? Would that be perhaps one of the partnership companies you work with?
Yeah, exactly. I think integration partners are key. If that's your question, just so I understand, I think anyone that's able to integrate with another company is extremely important. So I think we need to factor in that one software is naturally going to work better alongside maybe another piece of software. So we need to make sure that everybody has accessibility to everything, and ultimately I guess it's not one size fits all anymore.
No, I agree, definitely. I think there are people out there, businesses out there, but consultants that can actually, once a company has signed up to a solution, to actually build it embed it within their existing process and stuff is a huge part of the link, essentially. So I think very key. All right, awesome. And I guess I know we touched upon your background in aviation, and I think I'd love it to just understand if you've seen any kind of crossover or any key differences that perhaps maybe we can try and learn from.
Yeah, we've definitely seen crossover. I think in a lot of ways, aviation and maritime are very similar, and that's kind of where the whole idea came from. Sort of to give you some context, myself and one of the other co-founders, both from a actually similar background in aviation itself, then also kind of a bit of crossover with, say, maritime, got talking and kind of realised there was a bit of synergy in what we're seeing, and actually realised I was connected in the past with Ed, who actually owns what is now our sister company, Aircraft IT, which has actually been running for 15 years. So extremely successful concept. We obviously spoke to him. We spoke to some of his clients to understand, would this concept work with maritime? What do you think? And the feedback was insanely positive. And actually, so first of all, kind of shout out to Ed for, really helping us kind of drive the secondary project. It's basically a mirror concept of what's already been proven. And we found out that, a lot of the existing companies in the aviation side were planning or wanting to tackle the maritime industry, realising their own products are also compatible, realising maybe the market is also even bigger, and said, yes, if you set this up, we're going to jump aboard. So first of all, we knew that, from that perspective, perfect crossover. And then secondly, we had the same thing recently at the Aircraft IT conference in Miami. So Aircraft IT do an annual conference, and we kind of jumped in as just as a bit of a promotion of the new business. And again, several vendors actually came up to us and said, please help us tackle maritime. So I think that, there's a lot of crossover.
So why would the aviation side want to tackle maritime? Is that to help with movement of crew around the world, or there are other, if it's linked to cargo movement, what would be the idea there?
Yeah, it could be anything from web, manual software, manuals is a great one, manuals for aviation. Naturally, you need manuals for maritime. One of our, and they won't mind me mentioning, a good example is maybe SweetPad. So they're actually going to be featured in our case study in our e-journal that launches in a couple of weeks. They are guest experience software, so iPad software, extremely successful in the hospitality industry. So obviously their products are widely used in hotels. They've now tackled the cruise industry and are trying to obviously, get bigger and bigger in that industry. And so I guess it's so varied. So it could be anything from manuals. You've got Lufthansa Industry Solutions, also one of our clients on both platforms. So I guess, could be anything from guest experience to the manuals, to the connectivity software. Ultimately, it's and again, in some respects, it works the same way. Yeah,
and even vetting and compliance. There's a number
Absolutely.
of crewing platforms there. When you're hiring crews, it could be the same, I guess, for aircraft crew as well, and that type of thing. And then managing the pilots or the flight crews' travel and hotel stays. It crosses over a lot.
Crew technology, yes, is one of the big ones that we're starting to get a lot of traction from. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, good. All right then. And I guess going forward, obviously got a number of events and conferences coming up. In terms of the business, how it's shaping up, and we haven't talked too much about this between you and I, but how do you see the kind of the commercial function of the business kind of rolling out? Do you think, is it predominantly going to be yourself kind of leading that go-to-market kind of strategy to start with, or do you think you will have some support in terms of sales members? What's your feeling?
Hopefully, we'll be big enough to actually need a team of people. So at the moment, it's myself and the two other co-founders, one of them obviously being Ed, that's more on the aviation side. So there's the two of us right now. And naturally we need to see, how best to structure the business. And then for sure, I guess ultimately we want to be maybe a default digital engagement platform between the technology providers and the maritime end users. So that's the ultimate goal. We're already expanded on the product, and it's only been 3 or 4 months. So outside of this sort of standard case studies and webinars, we're also seeing that something like podcasts, exactly as we're doing now, is also going to be really valuable. So putting the IT vendor and the operator together for them to just kind of have that conversation outside of the standard case study form. So I think we're really going to kind of grow there. And one of the other things, which is a key product investment, will be actually an RFP tool. So I think, we know that how kind of time consuming putting together an RFP is. It takes months and months of work. It can take, even structuring it, the template for it it's extremely time consuming. So having a tool like that embedded into the platform will be really valuable. And I guess ultimately we want to become that data enriched ecosystem.
Sounds exciting. And I guess geographically, obviously we're here in Florida, but my background's mainly from the UK, but and I know you're obviously in Europe as well, so, and the team is spread around the world. Where do you see the kind of core markets, or how you think you might structure the team in terms of where they're based?
Yeah, so at the moment all three of us are based in Europe. So I'm in Barcelona, and one of my colleagues is based in Munich, and we have another colleague based in the UK. But I think that will definitely change. I think even going to obviously Miami a couple of weeks ago, and again in 2 weeks, naturally, somewhere like the US is, especially somewhere like Miami, is huge for the maritime industry, but equally APAC as well. So you've got the likes of Philippines, Singapore, Hong Kong. So I think ultimately we need to be a global team. And that's definitely something that we are massively talking about. I think there'll be some changes in the near future.
Yeah, I've been obviously. So, in case people are listening to this and they haven't necessarily heard about our background, just a sort of little bit of a plug here. But we're actually a recruitment agency, and my background is shipbroking, and went into recruitment a bit later in my career, and we help maritime software companies predominantly hire sales staff. And I moved my family and I out here to Florida in 2024, and yeah, I've just been really impressed and encouraged by the digitalisation that's happening, especially in areas like Fort Lauderdale, Miami, on more on the cruise side, obviously. But then you still have in Houston the more traditional kind of commercial shipping platforms being adopted by the oil majors and some of the grain traders and things around the US. So it's a good time. I definitely think compared to Europe, the adoption is not quite as where it is compared to Europe. Especially if you look at platforms around decarbonisation and that type of thing. But when it comes to crewing and other more inland waterway type of platforms, I definitely think there's a big market out here in the US that's growing. So I think it's a good idea you guys are getting in there and being a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also coming back to APAC as well, from even a cargo perspective, I think absolutely huge. Someone like the Philippines, is grown and grown, and I know that I understand that the next Sea Trade Asia is actually happening in Kuala Lumpur because they're seeing such a boom in terms of the shipping industry. So I think that's also going to be really, really valuable for us.
Yep, I agree. Lots of certainly on the technology side, lots of businesses out there. We used to do a lot of recruitment in places like Dubai and Singapore predominantly. And I actually have two of my employees are based in the Philippines, and it's sort of a very, really, really kind of key market and competition. I'd say if you're a vendor yourself, there's a lot of competition and also quite a lot of competition for talent. People know each other a lot. It's quite a closely knit community, but another great opportunity for you guys. And and I guess maybe if you don't mind, a bit more about your role day to day now. Got lots going on, obviously, and obviously very much in that kind of building and now rolling out sort of phase. But what does an average day look like for you, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I think maybe I need to structure my average day a bit better. I think it's exciting, but also very challenging. Of course, myself and the guys have spent several weeks making sure that the website is completely compatible with what the vendors are used to on the aviation side. There's a lot of speaking with developers to make sure we can implement the webinars, the podcasts, a lot of the working on the branding, the social media. That's kind of new for me. I'm big on social media in the sense of I use LinkedIn, I use Instagram, but I'm not a marketing expert in that respect. So a lot of getting used to promoting ourselves there. And then actually understanding what's out there in terms of the technology, trying to become a bit more visible, in person as well. So trying to make sure we're at the right events. I think it's a combination of things. We're just at that exciting stage of let's just try everything and let's be involved in everything. And I think as much as, it might be a bit, you can't really kind of structure your day to day. I think that seeing how it's evolved in the last couple of months is extremely exciting. So it's kind of a let's do everything and let's see how it works out.
Similar boat. Obviously, I'm a founder myself and trying to manage a team and also run different entities and things across the world. It's doing a variety of tasks every day. So I'm sure we're kept very, very busy. And I guess in terms of anything else you'd like to share about Seacraft IT or anything else, upcoming projects, anything you'd like to kind of comment on?
Yeah, as you mentioned before, we are going to be present at Sea Trade Cruise Global in a couple of weeks. So for anyone that is attending, we'd love to connect. We'd love to see you there. And then in terms of our visibility, we are launching our first e-journal to go out, I think, first or second week of April. Definitely sign up to the website so you can actually receive a copy of that. there's a huge number of case studies. We've been really lucky to have actually connected with a number of IT vendors and operators. So there's some incredible case studies in there. So I think, that's kind of something to watch in the coming weeks. And then if anyone wants to, is interested in being involved in a webinar, be one of the first to conduct a webinar or a podcast, please do reach out.
Sounds great. Excellent. And in terms of best way to contact you or someone in the company, is it maybe approach you on LinkedIn or check out the website? What's the best way?
Yeah, so first and foremost, obviously visit the website, so seacraftit.com. It's actually free to register, whether you're an operator or a vendor. And like I said, you're going to have immediate access to things like the e-journal, so you'll be able to read the case studies and the up and coming conferences we're planning in the near future. Likewise, you can contact us on LinkedIn. You can contact me directly on LinkedIn to arrange a meeting. You can also follow us on Instagram at Seacraft IT, and then finally send us an email, so info@seacraftit.com.
Excellent. All right, Gayle. Well, thank you so much for sharing your bit more about your journey and what you're building and within the business. It sounds like a very exciting platform and incredibly useful. I think, as we said, by the adoption of technology is speeding up, and also that means there's a lot more kind of choice for suppliers and buyers as well. So I think if you've got someone connecting them together that can vet them and give a nice streamlined process like you're doing, it will be really, really useful. So thank you everyone for listening and tuning in. I hope you found this insightful. I know I did, and I learned some stuff myself. So Gayle, appreciate your time and I look forward to catching up again soon.